almost did today's walk 3 years ago, but for some reason the night before I just could not get to sleep. I was lying awake for hours struggling to do so, and once I finally did, it was past 5 a.m. and I was too tired to spend the day walking, so I stayed at home. And it's taken me this long to come back and give it another go. We are walking an SWC route today, a Saturday Walkers Club walk from Whitchurch to Andover. I will leave a link in the description where you can find more information and a map of today's walk to follow along for yourselves. So let's go. So I first wanted to come and have a look at a completely different railway line that would have passed underneath the existing railway line here at Whitchurch. I'm on the route of the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton Railway, which closed in the 1960s, and they had a completely separate station here in Whitchurch, a little to the south, called Whitchurch Town. We will be crossing paths with the old railway a couple of times to start off with on our walk, but it's quite hard to stick to it because we've built along the route of it now. I'm already having to skirt around on the roads. So it's opposite Fair Close, where Whitchurch Town Station used to be. So presumably this is the old station building here. I've got a little passageway to take to get onto the course of the old railway, but I won't be on it for long. Looks like this might be the edge of the old platform. There's nothing else to see really apart from the station building. This would be a perfect spot though for a heritage sign. So you might just be able to hear the traffic of the busy A34 road up there, which obliterates the route of the old railway. So I'm gonna have to make my own way across that road, which is a lot longer, and I've got an actually very steep path down the embankment. Okay, I'm for sure gonna slip down here, so I'm gonna get nice and low. I was meant to come off earlier than this, but I didn't realise. Luckily, my route takes me along the River Test, a 40-mile chalk stream. That's why it's so clean. That, like the old railway, I am going to be alongside for some of the early stretches of my walk today. Troll under bridge. That's worrying. But then, because I can see underneath it, I think I'll be alright. It's famous last words though. Well, I've made it across safely. I was going to say this very much looks like an old mill, and yes it does. The life ring there says it's Fulling Mill. And that was a slightly overgrown meadow to walk across, but it has brought me to the A34 road. I found my crossing underneath it. On the other side of the A34 I've come out beside a nice church, and I found an old red telephone box here which is now full of books. I've noticed it up there. I've never read or watched that before. Thinking I might take it, but it's also a really big heavy book to include in my bag. Wow, it's over 1,000 pages. I've never read a book this big in my life. So I've been reunited with the Didcot, Newbury and Southampton Railway up there, and the River Test down here. Strangely, I can't walk on the former track bed. I have to skirt around the bottom of the embankment instead. Most old railways you can walk all the way along, but not this one it seems. It does actually look quite clear to walk along on the old railway, but I do see a sign that says no trespassing, so... Oh, so much for being on the bottom of the embankment. I'm on top actually, looking down onto the old railway line. Wow, these fields are expansive. I'm completely exposed out here in the sun. At least if I was on the old railway, I would probably have cover from the trees. So this is actually going to be our last sighting of the old Didcot, Newbury and Southampton Railway now. That's heading south towards Winchester and Southampton itself. I've got to head west. I guess I gotta climb over this. Why have they blocked access here? So I've realised what I've done. I turned inward on myself to pass underneath the railway line, but I was supposed to continue south across another field and come out here. I guess that's why the path was blocked by a huge tree trunk. But apart from that, it was still very accessible, so I don't know why I couldn't go that way. Though we've parted ways with the old railway, I've not yet parted ways with the River Test. I've got a nice stretch to walk alongside it here. I do like a chalk stream, just so you can see how clear the water is. There is a Testway footpath which is 44 miles long that runs down towards Southampton. I believe part of that does actually follow the old railway on its southern section around the Mottisfont and Romsey area. I would like to walk that one day. There is also the Test and Diva Way. That's a relatively new 19-mile circular path that essentially connects the River Test and the River Diva, which must be nearby somewhat, which is another chalk stream. Made it up into the quiet village of Long Parish. I'm loving the thatched roofs on these cottages here. I've seen quite a few on my walk today. A great path along the bottom of some fields brings me out to the adjacent village of Middleton, which seems to have noticeably less thatched roofs than Long Parish. Aha, it's here where we actually join a Testway now. I was waiting to see a sign for it. I thought we must at some point, considering we are near to the river. Just passed through the grounds of the local church. It's like a castle tower, isn't it? And I think this will be my last little sighting of the River Test today. It takes until about the halfway point of this walk to say goodbye to the railway and river, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be other rivers and railways we'll see on today's walk. Wow, that's one long path across the field in the sun as well. Well, I guess I gotta do it. Now, it hasn't taken me too long to actually come across another disused railway line that would have come off of the existing station at Whitchurch and ran down towards Romsey and eventually Southampton as well. And I'm actually standing in front of one of the old stations on the line, Long Parish, which is interesting because we passed through another village from Long Parish to get here. So why isn't this called Middleton? Either way, it closed in 1931, in case you wanted to know. Aha, I was going to say I'm not going to focus on this railway at all because I'm essentially just crossing over it here at Long Parish Station, but this is very clearly an old railway bridge, which is also no longer a railway bridge. Well, it's not a railway bridge anyways, but it's not even a bridge anymore. So I've made it into Harewood Forest now, which is the second largest forest in the county of Hampshire, after the iconic New Forest. That would be good to do a walk through one day. I do have a fair chunk of the walk to do myself through here now. Danger, keep out, do not enter, CCTV in operation. Okay, what are these buildings then? There's quite a few all the way along. They're very adamant about you not going in there. Disease precautions, critical control points, keep out, wear a dust mask. Oh, that bit's fallen down there. What a strange selection of buildings in the middle of a forest. Well, the first one I came across was House 4. This is 6. I thought we'd be counting down. That must mean there was more of them, probably around kind of the farm entrance to the forest that I passed through. Oh, well, that's just too inviting to not at least have a peek in. I'll respect the sign and stay out, but whoa, that stretches on for ages. It's mostly cleaned out. Well, I've unintentionally done a section of the Testway today. That's heading back towards the river in that direction, but I'm cutting up to head through more of the forest. It was very nice to get some shade in Harewood Forest, but I'm leaving it now back out into the fields, into the sun. I'm surprised I didn't see a single soul in Harewood Forest, but at the same time I'm pleased I had it all to myself. Ah, one little cloud is blocking the sun for me on this exposed stretch across the fields. How nice of it. I didn't know what I was expecting, but I didn't think this section of the walk would be as pretty as it is. I'm quite high up. I must be getting a view out over towards the North Wessex Downs and whatnot over in that direction. That would be a good place to do a walk as well one day. Whoa, hold up. Seems to be like a whole abandoned farm up here. Can I have a look up this ladder? Might as well give it a go. Ooh, holes in the floor, doesn't look too safe. Wow. So I do have a bit of a descent on my hands now. This path will bring me down to the suburban streets that will lead me through to the town centre of Andover. So Andover is also home to its own chalk stream, the bridge rather helpfully telling us that it is the River Anton, which rises just north of the town in Andover Lakes and heads down to a gorgeous old mill. So there did used to be another watercourse through Andover known as the Andover Canal, but this only lasted between 1794 and 1859 as it was never really a commercial success. After its life, it did get reused by a railway line that did indeed connect up with the other one that passed through Long Parish and down towards Romsey, and there was, like Whitchurch town station, an Andover town station, but that, along with the canal, is also now defunct, closing in 1964. This is rather nice. Quite quiet, all the shops are closed right now, but all that remains for me to do is just head up through the pedestrianised town centre, the high street of Andover, to the existing station. So I actually have some time before my train, so I figured I'll take a walk through the local cemetery here to a nearby retail park to pick up some food, because it will be quite late by the time I get home. So we've made it to Andover station, where there was very clearly a disused terminating platform here. This would have been for trains to Andover town and onwards to Romsey. So although we've seen nothing of the former station or railway line today, it's nice to see a bit of evidence that it did indeed exist at the current existing station. So that is another Saturday Walkers Club walk complete, even though I've done it on a Sunday. It's just because South Western Railway have cheap train tickets on a Sunday. I might actually make a playlist of all of the SWC walks I've done, as there has been quite a few now. You can check the description to see if I've done that. You can watch any of the other videos I've done walks of. Speaking of cheap train tickets, I've actually bought my ticket one stop beyond Andover today at no additional price, just for the sake of ticking off another station. So I can say I've been to 3 out of the 4 in between Basingstoke and Salisbury. That does mean I'm leaving out Overton, but I do have a walk planned from Overton into the town of Basingstoke. There's also an SWC walk from Overton to Whitchurch, so I might do that as well. So we'll come back for Overton another day. I'm just going to wait for my train and then reverse to come back through Andover towards London. Utilise your adventures, even though there's not a whole lot here, but at least that means I don't have to come back here. So I guess I'll just hang out here for 20 minutes and wait for the train. Now, it hasn't actually taken too long for me to come across another disused railway line that would have come off of the existing Winchfield. What station is it? It's not Winchfield. Where did I get Whitchurch? Whitchurch.